742. News Talk, Saga 960, Raw, Mike Richards. And for our Raptors 905, Jevohn Shepherd is going to walk in, be part of the broadcast, which is very, very cool considering his background. As I've said many times before, the one thing about having this level of basketball in our backyard, that is here in Mississauga, and of course in Peel and the surrounding area, to be able to access the quality that we have right now is unprecedented. And when you lived in a time where this literally would have seemed like a pipe dream, to have, individuals playing at the biggest schools south of the border. I mean, we're talking big-time Division I athletes who have the potential of playing in the show, in the association, also playing for almost, the amount of money that you'd have to spend on a ticket to watch these guys is almost nothing when you talk about the Paramount Fine Food Center and seeing the Raptors 905. This, to me, is the ultimate gift that has ever been given to the GTA, certainly here in Mississauga, to have the Raptors 905 right here. And Jevohn Shepherd would know all about that, and he joins us now. Good morning, Jevohn.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, you know what? Thanks so much for joining us. This is as I said beforehand, for basketball people and for where grassroots basketball is now. I mean, you've seen it. You've grown up with it. I mean, you were a Wolverine. You've seen what it takes to actually get to these levels. But the way it is now, this is access for Canadian athletes, basketball players. We've never seen this before, Jevohn.
Definitely, like it's changed the landscape of the basketball culture completely from when I was, coming up. Guys have tremendous opportunity now available to them, and it goes without saying. You can see with the development of Canadian basketball itself right now.
Where was high school basketball for you, Jevohn?
High school basketball for me was at West Hill Collegiate. It's in the east side, in Scarborough, east side of Toronto.
I know where West Hill is. I know.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know? I'm trying to think. Do you know Taylor Johnston? Do you know who that is?
Taylor Johnston. Yeah, I was actually just talking about him to my mother the other day. And he's doing well. He actually played with my younger brother. I believe he's finished playing basketball now and just finished his MBA.
Yeah, he did. He's down now. He's a big shot in Manhattan. How'd that happen?
Yeah.
I was like,
he's doing really well.
I went down to Binghamton to watch him play as a friend of the family. So
really?
Oh, absolutely. I'm on West Hill. I get that. And so your route to playing for Michigan. I mean, you're under Coach Beeline at that time. What was that like? Because when you talk about Wolverine basketball, I mean, man, It doesn't get much bigger than that.
No, it was it was a great experience for me. Even just the recruiting process going along that way, I was able to learn a lot. My first coach was actually Tommy Amaker, who's now at Harvard. He has a couple Canadians on his roster as well right now. And then my last 2 years was John Beeline, who we were really able to turn that program around. My last year when we actually clinched a NCAA tournament berth for the first time in 10 years. That was actually we had just come off of the ban from
right.
Chris Webber, the whole stuff with Chris Webber and the Fab Five. So that was a big time for the school, and since then John and the whole squad was able to really take that and use it as a leaping board and springboard and go forward.
Now, sitting now as you're going to be an analyst here for the Raptors 905, I mean, so you can relate to where a lot of these guys came from, and the fact is, if you put the work in for some of these guys, they will have, and it's been proven before, I guess, when you have Pascal Siakam and Freddie Van Vliet, if you work hard enough and you kind of fit that build of an NBA player, if you put in the work, you're going to get a shot.
Yeah, definitely. I have a model of persistence and patience with work ethic, and you definitely have what's coming to you. I think the Raptors 905 organization does a great job developing their talent, and those guys like O'Shea Brissett right now are in a great position to continue to develop as long as they follow that pedigree.
Is that the next 905 star, or at least a player that will be filtered through the Raptors system? Because Mike mentioned it, and everybody knows about the pipeline of a Pascal Siakam, but I'm not saying it's Siakam-like, because Pascal's now a starting all-star in an all-star game and turning out to be a super world player. But what's the next couple of prospects that the Raptors and Raptor fans should be looking at that we're enjoying here in the 905?
I really like O'Shea. I actually really like O'Shea. This past weekend against the Maine Red Claws, he actually really showed us a lot of promise, and we were really able to see what the front office of the Raptors had seen in him. He struggled a bit over the beginning of the year, and I think he's able to turn it around. But again, I think as long as he's able to trust the development process of the Raptors organization, he should be in good hands. The thing about the G League is that you're not necessarily going to find a superstar out of the G League as a development league, but as long as these guys own their role and do what they do at a high level, a lot of those guys will be able to play on an NBA roster on like those 12, 13 roster spots.
Yeah.
So I think O'Shea would definitely be the next one to land himself a spot. I like Henry Ellison, who's also a big that's able to play inside and outside, and really from an offensive standpoint is able to put pressure on your opponent's defense and force them to play honest. So yeah, I think between those two guys would be my first pick.
Interesting. Now, as soon as you say Maine Red Claws, I think Taco Fall. I remember watching him through his time at UCF, and you got a chance to see him up close. Is this guy capable of playing full-time NBA minutes in the future? I know it's hard to forecast that, but when looking at what he looks like right now, do you see a full-time NBA job for Taco Fall in the near future?
I believe so, because he's standing at 7'6". That's something you can't really teach. You can't teach height. You can't develop height.
Yeah.
And there's definitely going to be a place for him because he covers so much ground. And for his size, he really gets up and down the court really well.
Yeah, and you're 6'6", so
right, and he's a tower for me. So you have to find a way to use him. There's no way he can go unnoticed.
Well, I was going to say,
just the fact that he's on the court, he has a presence, right? The unfortunate thing for him is that the NBA game has gone so small right now. There's not many big man positions, so to say.
So I was reading a stat on teams and how many post up now, and how most the post up game is almost gone. I think it's like it might be like teams like the 76ers, if Embiid's down low, that kind of stuff. But really, the teams want to get out there and they want to make it a track meet now. They play small ball, so those.
Yeah, and you can see in the scores as well. But I'm a firm believer in history always repeats itself. So it's just a matter of time and the team taking a chance and having success with bringing back the traditional big man into the game, and then we'll see a bit more of it. So there's definitely room for Taco and definitely some usage for him.
Now, John, when you were at Michigan playing Big Ten basketball, who was one of the bigger guys that because there was a lot of them at that point.
Yeah.
Who was one of the bigger guys that people here this morning would know that you played? Because there would have been a lot of them.
Greg Oden. Definitely Greg Oden. Yep, Greg Oden.
Greg Oden was that size when he was 12.
Yeah. You couldn't get over him. You couldn't get around him. There's just nothing you could have done with him. It's unfortunate that his career was cut short by injuries.
Yeah, because he was a mountain. That was truly almost frightening.
Yeah.
I think at that point.
I actually remember getting a putback dunk on him, and I thought, okay, this is the moment I'm going to the NBA off of just this dunk right here.
We're in conversation with Jevohn Jeopardy here on News Talk Saga 960. We're talking about the Raps who did because Maine, the Red Claws have had like a sensational season, as had the Wisconsin Herd. But at this point, I would say, Jevohn, for a lot of people they're just starting to follow the G League, because previous to this, there wouldn't be a huge association. People don't necessarily follow it, but now that it's in our backyard, you get to see, just some of the talent that's there, and so people are kind of getting used to the fat guys like Jama Malalea is going to sit there, and on any given night, his roster could completely change depending on the health of the big team.
Right, and I guess that's the beauty in it, right? Because guys, you have to be able to adapt. So it's not only just development from an individual standpoint, but on any given night, that roster can change, and we still have to be able to come up with a win and come together as a team. So it's definitely a great opportunity to grow all around.
Well, thanks so much for joining us this morning. I know it's going to be a lot of fun for you, and something that we're all looking forward to. It is the Fort Wayne Mad Ants. Boy, I hate that name. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, John, I've never really spent a lot of time in Fort Wayne, but I just would have thought that ants were was something, unless you're, what are the anteaters out in the West Coast there? Like, I just don't know where ants come into play where you'd be that afraid to play them. You know what I mean?
I'm not sure about a couple of those names. But
Hey, well, you take care. Look forward to talking to you again, and thanks so much for joining us here this morning. It's been a real pleasure.
All right, thanks for having me.
That is Jevohn Shepherd joining us here this morning, former Wolverine. Jim Beeline, his coach at the time, which would have been pretty cool, although Coach Beeline did not enjoy his time in Cleveland.
No.